Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our first NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Incredibly busy weekend for sports. First of all, the NFL draft. The Saints, I thought, made safe selections in the first round, choosing Pete and then, of course, choosing a very good linebacker, I thought, and Stephon Gregory later on, not Gregory, but Anthony, then later on in the first round. But when you look at these two guys, as I mentioned, I think the word safe applies because I think what the Saints did was they stuck to the plan and they picked the best players on their board rather than stretching.
There are needs. It's not one need or two needs. There are several needs to be addressed. I think we had talked about this way back. I mean, you got 5 of the first 80 picks, and I think it served the Saints best to stay in the slots, if anything, trade back and try to get more picks because you've got needs to fill. But try to just address those needs in the first 80 picks. It's not like you have to do this one first and this one second. All of these needs are there. And obviously, as we get into day 2 and day 3, 7 more chances, 3 picks on day 2 in the second and third round, and then 4 picks tomorrow, assuming there are no trades. Still an opportunity to do that. But I think the right word you use there is safe. Pete, a safe pick. Yes, do you have 2 starting tackles? Absolutely. This guy's got a chance to be a starter in this league for a long time. Anthony, interesting to me, this is the first time in 20 years the Saints have taken a linebacker in the first round, going all the way back to Alvin Tolles. And actually, before that, Mark Fields is the last one. But not a whole lot of just star-studded success. Fields is certainly a very good player for a while in this organization. But before that, Tolles and goodness, I have to bring up Rick Middleton's name, but that's your history of picking linebackers in the first round of the draft over nearly 50 years. It's not a very long list. So hopefully Stephon Anthony can overcome that bit of history. You know, there was a lot of talk about him being there at 44. I don't think they felt comfortable waiting, though. They really liked what they saw of him.
Yeah, and a guy that has a chance to step in and start right away. And in the case of Pete, they can be patient with him because of what they have, but clearly a guy they have earmarked to start for a long, long time. And he's a tackle, not a guard. I guess one of the questions that will come up now, is there any chance that Zach Strief could play inside?
I don't think either of those guys are really equipped to play inside. You want smaller, stockier guys inside, and you've got some tall, rangy guys. Strief's a guy. He's a giant. He's 6'7". You know, Pete is 6'7" as well. I mean, Armstead is probably the most athletic of the 3 guys. Could he slide in? I don't know if he's got enough bulk on him to be able to slide inside and play guard. So I think, you know, don't forget this. While they just signed Strief to a long-term deal last year, the guy is 32 years old. What is your shelf life as a tackle in the National Football League? I think he's starting to reach the end of that.
You still have Lolito and Harris competing, of course. There's a guard spot available. We'll see what transpires. And with the linebacker, I think you're talking about a guy that's going to step in and play right away. So 3 more picks, as mentioned, on day 2, and then they'll conclude things with their day 3 picks. And we look forward to seeing what transpires. The Kentucky Derby coming up this weekend. It's another huge field, as it always is in Louisville. There's some taste of local influence. And this is always a crapshoot in terms of trying to figure it out because it's the hardest race to pick among the 3 Triple Crown races simply because of the muddled field. It's just very difficult to be able to understand and figure out who's going to like the track and who can possibly get through that absolute maze of horses on the course.
Yeah, it's a real traffic jam when you got a field of 20 out there. These horses will never run in a race like this before. They'll never run in a race like it again with this many horses on the track. And it's all about the trip. Who's going to get the best trip? And, you know, you've got 3 or 4 horses that are really, you know, in terms of what they've done, have separated themselves from the pack. And it would be real easy to say one of those 3 or 4 horses are going to win, but this is the Kentucky Derby, and you never know when you're going to get that long shot. Obviously, a lot of local interest. You know, you've got International Star, who won the 3 prep races here at the fairgrounds, including the Louisiana Derby. You've got Tom Amoss. You've got Joe Talamo. You've got a lot of other Louisiana natives who are going to play a part in this race, and it would be nice to see one of those either equine or human stars of local interest get a chance to be in the winner's circle on Saturday.
Going to be interesting to see indeed what transpires. Of course, the NBA playoffs continuing. Pelicans not part of it, but getting more interesting as they progress. Some good first-round series, some that weren't so good. Strange ending to the Bulls-Bucks series. What, a win by how many points? Goodness gracious.
50 plus.
53 points. 53 points. Crazy. You don't expect that.
Yeah, it reminded me. Remember that? Remember when the Hornets then had the Nuggets in the play and lost that game by 50 plus points at home. Threw out a real clunker there, and I believe it was Game 4 of the playoffs in that series a few years back. So you never know when it's going to happen. The Bucks surprisingly made it a series again. Got it to Game 6, and then turned that one in. So you just never know. Now you've got Bulls, Cavs. You've got some really intriguing second round matchups, some of which are going to start this weekend. You've got a Game 7 to be resolved in the Spurs and Clippers series. That should be a really intriguing seventh game this weekend as well. But we'll be down by the time the weekend is over. We'll be down to 8 teams, and I think you really have a clearer picture of where we are in the NBA.
College baseball, a marathon at Starkville. LSU prevails in 14 innings, 5-3 over Mississippi State. They found a way to win. They were down 2-0, led 3-2, gave up the lead in the ninth, survived a couple of scares, and then Connor Hale a 2-run double as they are tied for the lead in the SEC.
And those are the kind of games you got to win. And I mean, it was a win on all kinds of levels because Mississippi State basically burned their closer for the rest of the series by throwing in 5 innings in the game last night, while LSU managed their pitching situation a lot better. So LSU in a strong situation to capture the rest of the series.
They really are. And then, of course, high school baseball, the playoffs underway. And we will have more of that for you right here at SportsNOLA.com.
Right. Tonight, Friday night, Shaw Brother Martin from Kirsch-Rooney, 6:30 first pitch. Tomorrow, Saturday, Jesuit and West Monroe, Game 2 of that series, 1 o'clock first pitch. Remember, 5A and 4A now. 5A did it last year for the first time. 4A doing it for the first time this year. Second and third rounds are best of 3 series. And I like that format because it really gives you, a truer indication of who the best teams are to advance. Of course, a couple local series here in 5A, and we'll have coverage of those. May even have a Game 3, depending on how things shake out for you as well.
And state softball championships being decided in Sulphur today and tomorrow. And we have 7 area teams that are part and parcel, and hopefully some of them can bring home the championships.
Yep, got a lot of great opportunities there for some of these teams. Certainly, Mount Carmel in 5A has been, been a very good team, and see how far they progress. John Curtis, a traditional power in these areas. Archbishop Hannon back in there as well, as they've become a 1A, 2A power over the last couple of years. So a lot of opportunities there. Let's not forget St. Charles Catholic either. They and John Curtis have been basically 1-2 all year in 3A. So a lot of opportunities for some of these local teams.
Yeah, Riverside, St. Thomas Aquinas, and Cabrini Cinderella as a 20 seed. So we'll see who's able to pull it out. We look forward to that coverage at SportsNOLA.com as well. Lenny, have a great weekend.
All right, well, enjoy it all because there's a lot to take in.
That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.